everyone, and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I help you spend your wine dollars wisely. And I'm very excited today. We have Cassie and Kyle Welch. They are the owners of Longship Cellars. Kyle, you're the winemaker. And they are my 2018 Winery of the Year. And that's a pretty serious thing that I do every year. I've done it for, I think, about 7 years now, or 8 years. And I have a blog on the Seattle PI called the Blue Collar Wine Guy. And I always put it up there because that gets way better traction than my personal blog, because I'm not good at that sort of techie stuff. They get the search engines down. Anyway, I based my decision, as I always do every year, on the wines obviously have to be well made. They have to have a good QPR, a term we use, quality to price ratio, and very consistent. And so we're at Dickerson's warehouse place. They're the ones who carry their wines. And Ashley, my sales rep from Dickerson, brought in this wine right here, the Longship Cellars Ginger Man Syrah, which we're going to taste together today. And I tasted that wine, and I knew at that moment I would have to give them some serious attention. So I tasted through all their wines, and all your wines are awesome. So let's get started. First of all, what got you interested in wine? Either one of you can let me know. And what inspired you to start a winery?
Very good. Well, back in the early 2000s, I was in the Navy. And this is back when the Prosser Wine Circle and Walla Walla were just like blowing up in new tasting rooms. I didn't know a lot about wine at the time, but my parents were getting into it because we were turning into foodies. So I would come home on leave and they would take me wine tasting. So it was just something I slowly got into doing that, and then I got really interested in it. I think it's fascinating. I didn't realize you could access the industry through school, but that kind of happened later. So I would take wine back to my Navy friends, and we'd have like little wine and food parties. So I got really into food and pairing wines, and kind of my passion for it started out with Spanish wines.
Yeah.
So usually at grocery stores, I'd always just go to the import section, because at the time Washington wasn't, the sections on the shelves weren't that big. It was California, Australia, and then imports, and Spanish wines were pretty affordable. Mm-hmm. And Tempranillo is a great food wine. Yeah, mm-hmm. Exactly. So started there, and then after the Navy, moved around a little bit trying to figure out what I wanted to do, but I always had wine with me, mm-hmm. no matter what. So then one day it just kind of clicked, and I transferred colleges from Boise State to Washington State. They have a branch campus in the Tri-Cities, and for the viticulture and enology program, just got into it. And yeah, it was kind of hard because all my classes were business-based, so I basically had to start over, and go back and do all the chemistry and biology and stuff, but I love it. I love it.
That's where you met Cassie?
Yeah.
Well, you knew each other evidently for a while.
Our families kind of go back. But yeah, we were both working at Costco. That got me through school. And then she was home for an internship for their marketing program. And we just kind of passed each other a couple of times and shared smiles. And yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So then, you went to the enology program. Then you went to work for somebody after that, or before that, or during that, or
yeah,
you were at Alexandria Nicole, I think.
Yeah, for a few years after I graduated.
Okay.
So I'll take you through it. Like during college, I interned at Snoqualmie Winery, and that's St. Michelle. It's now 14 hands in that building. So big, very big box. Shoveling 40 tons out of tanks and things like that. And then I did a vineyard internship in Saint Emilion at Chateau Cantenac. And another one of their chateaus in the Médoc, which was pretty cool for a summer, just working on vines. Very different over there, but a lot of rules. But went down into Spain during that trip and tasted Spanish wines for real. Awesome stuff that you can't get here. It's just big, bold, rich Tempranillos that I wasn't used to. Right. It was almost overwhelming, So I came back after that and just started looking for Tempranillo and tasting rooms, and anyone who had it, I just kind of resonated towards that, and tried to, I think it grows really well in the state, and I think you're going to keep seeing plantings of it, hopefully. And then I graduated, worked for a winery in Texas as their assistant winemaker, just for about a year, because they specialize in making port and Madeira, and it's something I always wanted to kind of learn how to do. But Ended up moving to Arizona after that, did a harvest there, and that was pretty fun too. And then came back, I just decided that, I don't want to work for anyone else anymore. I just want to do this for ourselves, and so we figured out a way to make it happen as soon as possible. So in 2013, we were at Alexander Nicole, and they allowed me to get licensed and make wine in their facility while I was working for them. So we started there, and then I took the cider making job for Dee's Wicked Cider in 2016 in the Tri-Cities, so moved home, and that's where we are now.
Cool.
Yeah.
And are you still at the cidery?
Yeah, we are. We've been looking for our own facility because we're getting a little bit too big for where we're at, and hopefully this summer that'll happen.
Yeah. You said you were going to move over near where Barnard Griffin is up in there.
It was like the Horn Rapids business park is kind of what we're looking at. So we'll see. But we have a tasting room in downtown Richland at the Riverwalk. We opened that in 2016 in December, and that's been really good exposure for us. And we just love being in the Tri-Cities because that's where we're from, and it's like the epicenter of Washington wine.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's cool for us too, like our tasting room is very accessible, like in the downtown area where, there's a lot of people that live, and it's created a space for community for us to really be able to like share our wines and also just have people come in and spend time together and share wine and share food.
It looks like a cool place. I see it on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
It looks like you get a lot of action down there.
Yeah, you'll have to come and visit sometime.
Yeah, oh, I definitely will come and visit.
Yeah, so if you visit during the day, you're going to get my dad. He's pretty much opens to about 5 o'clock, and then Cassie's the general manager, so she comes on with some other staff that we have now to help out. But it's mainly just Cassie, my parents, and I, and then
A couple,
her sister helps out.
yeah, and then a couple
and then
close
a
friends.
couple close friends. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool. So are you excited about the 2018 vintage? I've heard a lot of good things.
Very excited.
About, yeah.
Very, very excited. It was kind of one of those, another rebound year, I think, from the heat in 17. So the grapes were pushing a lot of phenolics and a lot of color, and everything came in kind of heavy like 16. But the quality is just there. It's great.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Could be some of the best we've seen since what are they saying, 2004 or what? I can't remember what vintage they were talking about, but yeah.
It's good.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I love those.
Finally got some exposure.
It's like 2016 Bordeaux's are supposed to be really awesome, and so far everyone I've tasted has lived up to the expectations. So where is you? I always ask this, and everybody seems to dodge this question for some reason. Maybe they're afraid they're going to hurt somebody's feelings. But where is your favorite spot to source grapes in Washington State? What do you consider one of the better? I mean, there's a lot of great spots in Washington State, but what is one of your favorite go-to places?
Well, Horseman Hills has always been a pretty good spot for me. I just love some of the unique vineyards that are there. Sandy, shallow soils, but like you get into places like Finney Hill and Shampoo that are basically sitting on like their own, neat deposits that are very unique from the rest of the area. So if you can find the right vineyards there, I really enjoy it. But there's a new one that we found that's probably our favorite now in the state, and it's called Numeral Mountain.
Numeral Mountain? Numeral.
Yeah, so it's just north of Wenatchee in Antioch, and the grower's name is Garrett Grubbs, and he's done some winemaking.
Great name for it.
Yeah.
Right?
so it's kind of a higher elevation, almost Germanic site, foothills of the Cascades, right next to evergreens, but the soil is like broken granite sand, volcanic ash, giant boulders the size of Volkswagens, just granite everywhere. It's cool, and it's producing some really thick-skinned, phenolic-y, bold.
So is it part of the Chelan?
It's not. It's just outside. It's probably maybe 10 miles out.
So what do they put in Yakima? Or
no, it's Columbia Valley.
Just Columbia Valley.
Yeah.
Wow.
It should be its own.
Numeral
Mountain. And they call it that because adjacent to the vineyard there's a cliff where all the high school seniors paint their year. And so it's known as Numeral Mountain. So
Numeral Mountain?
Just
interesting. You're the first one I've ever heard that one from. So.
Yeah.
So we won't let that secret out.
Yeah. Garrett, you're doing good stuff. Keep it up.
And he's this is his vineyard you're talking about?
Does
he have a winery as well?
No.
Okay.
Nope. But they are, typically it's orchards is what his family has done, but they had some land above where they grow pears and apples, and I think they might have ripped some out too and then put in the Tempranillo and Malbec, which is, I'm really excited. So that Tempranillo, we got it in 2016. That'll be our first reserve Tempranillo that we're releasing this coming spring.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be good. I'll get you some.
One of this, it's interesting to me about Washington State is that, and maybe you can give me some insight. I've heard different, but we can just about do any grape in Washington State,
Mhm.
except Pinot Noir. I mean, even Pinot on the Columbia Gorge side is doable,
Mhm.
but still I haven't found anybody that consistently can do a good Pinot year in and year out. But, what do you think that is in Washington State, that it's so,
I think we have like every microclimate you can think of.
right?
I mean, we have it here somewhere.
Mhm.
You know, we're just kind of fortunate in that regard. The floods made a lot of cool spots to grow grapes, and I still think like some of the best sites are going to be found in the future. You
Mhm.
know, so there's a lot of potential there. But that's really what I think it boils
It's
down
just
to.
all the different microclimates,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so.
That's pretty
Yeah.
much consistently what I've heard about.
And then having the river is nice too.
Yeah.
And being able to use it.
Yeah, being
Yeah.
able to use it, exactly.
But we're cheaters because we irrigate, right?
Well, I don't know. They don't irrigate in Spain, I know that.
Yeah, they can.
So, yeah. And I know there are some wineries that dry farm
Mhm.
in the state, but,
Mhm.
because, vines will find the water.
Mm.
Indeed.
So, especially up on Red Mountain, I know that's one of my favorite AVAs is
Mhm.
Red Mountain, especially for Cab and Syrah. But, I don't know about Tempranillo. I haven't really dove into too many Tempranillos from Washington State yet.
I think Force Majeure does one from Red Mountain that's pretty solid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I haven't tried that one.
Yeah.
But I have tried a few Tempranillos, and it is very good. I think Grenache is didn't you say you put a little Grenache in the Syrah?
Yeah, there's 6% in this
Okay,
one.
that's what I thought.
Yep.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit about the 2016 Ginger Man Syrah. This was the one that really caught my attention, and I'm a huge Northern Rhone fan.
Awesome.
Saint Joseph and
Mhm.
Côte-Rôtie and Hermitage and those places. And when I tasted this, I thought you couldn't get any closer to Northern Rhone than this, in my opinion,
Very cool.
from Washington State. So you want to just,
Yep.
Yeah.
so this is a, so obviously you're very excited about Spanish wines.
Definitely.
And
That was just kind of the gateway
Yeah.
into like all the big, bold, dark reds, spicy reds is kind of
yeah.
what I enjoy. Yeah.
Now, when I did my little article, and I was hoping my memory served me correctly, you said you were going to, on your Chardonnay that you're producing,
Mhm.
tend to lead more towards a New World style
Mhm.
on that. Was that correct?
Yeah.
Because I would have gotten a phone call or text from you saying, hey, Stan, I didn't say that, but I thought I heard you right when you told me that.
Well, I mean, Washington Chard is like mainly stainless, right?
Mhm.
And not so much ML or now.
Right.
So we're just kind of trying to find a balance between like a California style Chard that's, we're doing partial ML, so we go up to about 40%,
Yeah.
depending on the year and the acids, but and then 100% French oak. I mean,
Yeah.
for a year, Chardonnay is cool. It doesn't extract oak. It's kind of like Cab. It takes a while. So
And that Chardonnay that we have is awesome. It's super tropical and has a really nice mouthfeel and texture.
Where's the AVA got that from?
the last one was Ancient Lakes.
Ancient Lakes, yeah, that's
Yep.
a good spot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
great.
Did
for
you get it
Chard.
from the Milbrants?
No,
Okay,
no, we tried.
yeah.
They're kind of shifting away from the smaller wineries.
Oh,
So yeah.
look at them. Jerry
Yeah.
Jerry owns the Ancient Lakes.
Yeah,
Big
they want to
fan.
do all machine pick stuff now because the labor
Oh.
labor costs have gone up. I guess.
I can see that. But it is better to hand pick it, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, I was actually excited about that because I think Chardonnay is a little bit of a weak spot in Washington State.
Mm.
And for that very reason. I mean, St. Michel doesn't stainless steel theirs. They're probably the top dogs as far as the more California style Chardonnays.
Mm.
But I think it's, people get really kind of snobby about, whites and reds and all that, and they think it's wrong to have a buttery Chard. I don't, you got to look at your bottom line. I mean, that's
Yeah.
where people like their Chardonnay to be.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest section in the store is Chardonnay,
Oh,
hands
wow.
down. It's our number one selling wine. The store owner can't believe it. He goes, "What'd you say our number one?" Chardonnay. And of course, we're out of Rombauer now.
I was just gonna say, aren't they your bestseller, Rombauer?
Well, for the high end,
Yeah.
it's probably one of our top selling wines. But we sell a lot of Alexandria Nicole,
Cool.
the A squared Chardonnay,
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
which I think is a little ML on that one. I don't think they do 100% stainless, do they?
They did when I was there. I'm not sure what they're doing now.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's a smart move, and this is always I ask all winemakers this question because you are the owner, so you know the bottom line. That's important. But where do you draw the line between artistic expression and selling your wine.
Yeah, we're getting into that as we're getting bigger. So some of our blends are kind of unique. You know, like the Quinn blend, we do a Tempranillo dominant blend with Malbec and Cab. It's not a blend you really find on the shelf, and it's probably not something someone's gonna say, I want to try this. So people want Cabernet dominant blends, or so we're kind of shifting more towards like things that are more approachable for people in that regard.
But
you know.
it's also really fun because we have people come into the tasting room and they specifically want the Tempranillo and the Quinn. And so it's neat to see that people are really passionate about this varietal that we love.
Yeah.
So we're trying to push Tempranillo, you know, in our tasting room and in our higher end stuff, but we came out with the Starship tier last year to make more of your traditional like Bordeaux style blend and then just a straight Cab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sell a ton of your Cab.
Awesome.
At the store. So,
Yeah.
you know, it has that, so you just kind of experiment with certain things and then make sure that you can sign the checks at the end of the month with other things.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
Yeah.
Because I've honestly seen some wineries actually go bankrupt because they're so focused on their artistic, you know, expressing themselves artistically that they don't make wines that the masses like. And you have to be aware of that. I mean, you know, even though, like, your wines are great. I mean, this, you know, like you said, Syrah is really struggling in the state, even though I think I went to a little Syrah seminar down in Seattle last week. And it was Bob from Chateau Ste. Michelle, their head winemaker, and the guys that are in the tenant program. But it was interesting that they mentioned that Washington State owns Syrah. And it really is true, other than, of course, in America, not, of course, in the Rhone Valley, that's where they own Syrah. And we do really good Syrah, and he was trying to ask the audience, how do you think we can make Syrah more interesting to people? Nobody, of course, answered the question because they're all too concerned about how they made the Syrah. But I got to talk to the head winemaker for Fervent. He sat at our table. And I said, really, the problem with Syrah, and this is how I see it, is there's so many different kind of styles of Syrah. You have the big bacon fat, you know, smoky Syrahs. Then you have this style, which has a little bit of that, but more of the northern Rhone. And so that's really where I see people are afraid to buy it because they don't know what they're going to get. I mean, necessarily. You know, when you buy a Merlot, you know what you're going to get. When you buy a Cab, generally speaking, you know what you're going to get. Blends, of course, that's an easy way to be creative because you call it Quinn, you know. It's just a cool name. And so I think the way to make Syrah grow in Washington State, to have guys like me in a store that are able to understand what their Syrahs are and direct the customer to that style that they like.
Yeah.
And of course we could blog about it all day, but you know, they have to read it first, you know.
Right.
And keep it short and simple, that's all it's all about. So let's taste this. So 16 I thought was a pretty good vintage as well.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite vintage in the last 8 years has been 13. I think 13s are really, really starting to show themselves.
That was the first year we did Syrah, and it's our favorite.
Is
still.
it?
And we actually opened it up in December when we had our 2-year of our tasting room being open, and it's tasting amazing.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It's holding up really well.
It reminds me a little bit of 11, you know, except 11 took a lot longer. If you have any 11s now, they're really good. But it took that long for them to kind of come out of the closet, you know, and show themselves. So what I like about this, you get a lot of blueberry and raspberry on the nose with a little bit of that Washington State kind of bacon fat coming through a little bit. It's curious to me because the only place you really get that bacon fat in the Rhone Valley, you get it sometimes out of a Chateauneuf-du-Pape. But you do get it a lot up in the northern Rhone. A lot of that blueberry, raspberry kind of bacon fat thing up there. So that's the first thing that caught my attention.
Some black olive too.
Oh, yeah.
I always like to add a little Grenache in the Syrah, just to give it like a splash of Southern Rhone flair, you know.
Well, yeah, and it's the structure on this is amazing. Good acidity, This isn't for this is definitely a food wine, and is that, when you're making wine, is that something that you take into consideration? You said you got into food
Oh, yeah.
heavy and then into
Yep.
wine, which makes sense.
Yep.
And do you see a trend, I'm seeing a trend now, of people gravitating to that direction, more
Yeah.
towards wines and food together?
Mm-hmm.
Because when the millennials first started out, it was cocktail wines, they just wanted something they could pop and sit around the couch and talk and pour wine, and they didn't care about food, maybe they had some nachos or whatever they ate, but.
Nachos and wine is pretty good.
Yeah.
It is, but
Get some tempered.
I don't think they really thought about it as, you cook a steak and
Right.
have the sides, and then you find a wine that goes with those things.
Yeah.
But as they're getting older, they're starting to say, hey,
They want to research.
this is a pretty cool concept,
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I've also noticed recently, in the last year and a half, people are gravitating towards the old world style wines more than new world. Have you had any conversations in that direction?
I think not really. I mean, the food thing is a big thing for people who come into our tasting room.
Yeah.
They'll come in and say, "Hey, I'm having this tonight. What wine should I pair with it?" Which
That's
is
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, but not so much like the style of winemaking. I think that's a little bit more rare for us to find in our tasting room, at least.
Well, you are in the new world, so.
That's
Right?
But I mean, I've noticed like in our section in particular, people are leaning towards Bordeaux's
Mhm.
and Spanish wines and Italian wines. Whereas, I mean, it used to be that side was kind of slow, and it was all inside my domestic side of the wine aisle. I just noticed people are starting to reach out and try new things.
That's cool.
But I'm all over the place. I love Zinfandel as well. That's one of my favorite. You never see a Zin in my house because I always drink them. You have a hard day at work, you just want to spoil yourself a little bit and have something you don't have to think about. It's just really good.
Have you
Yeah.
had the 7 years in the desert Zin?
7 years, is
Wasn't
that
it-
It's,
Owen Swift's?
Yeah.
So he wasn't allowed to make.
Yeah,
Zin
it's
for-
8 years in the desert. I
8
think.
years.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
So he had a non-compete clause
Yeah,
for
right,
8 years.
right.
Yeah.
Well, we tried that at our friend's restaurant. Man, it's solid.
I tried his GSM blend that he did called It's 8 Years in the Desert.
Okay.
He has a GSM blend. I have that at the store. I haven't seen the Zin yet.
It's
Okay.
great.
Cool.
So good.
Yeah.
Highly recommend
Awesome.
it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to what you guys are going to do in the years to come. I mean, I'm very excited. Your winery is going to take off. You might actually have to hire somebody down the road,
Right.
unless you can keep
I have a
us.
really good intern right now.
Hey, that's
so
what you
we're-
said.
We're hoping to keep him. And he
Yeah.
he looks a lot like the Ginger Man.
He does. He
Yeah,
looks
a big
exactly
orange
like
beard,
a
but it's
ginger
actually
man.
Ginger Man's actually my brother Jeff. He's the redheaded,
Oh, yeah.
or the red bearded guy
Okay.
in the family. So that's where that comes from.
Right.
But and as back to your question about making wines more for food, I really just want to make wines that are interesting,
Mhm.
if that makes sense, where the drinkers like kind of has to think about it, where
Yeah.
it's not just something you're sitting around and drinking just to drink wine. It's
Yeah.
like something that
You want to stop them in their tracks.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
This one stopped me in my tracks.
I
I mean, I
appreciate
was
that.
just like, wow, this is good. And then we tried all the other wines, and really excited about your rosé. And yeah, I'm excited to try your Chardonnay when that comes out.
Yeah, that'll be April.
April.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're bottling in April.
No, we're gonna bottle next month,
In,
Okay.
in
and
March.
then but we're running out of wines to sell, so we have to release a little early. So
Well, that's always a good problem. to
Yeah,
have.
that's what they
Yeah.
say.
Yeah,
So-
because when you don't have it for a while, kind of, since you guys worked at Costco, you understand their concept, run out.
Right.
And so
yeah.
everybody clamors when they get something new,
Mhm.
and then they run out. So they've created this kind of, the guy Leemings that go over the cliff sort of
Mhm.
syndrome,
Yeah.
You got to better hurry up and get there, or you're not going to get it.
Right. Yeah.
So running out isn't a bad thing. I hope you don't run out too soon.
We've got a lot of wines coming out this year
Yeah.
that are first times for us. So
Oh, good,
yeah,
exciting.
yeah, varietal Grenache, Tite Syrah, Cinsault, maybe a Southern Rhone style.
You're doing
wine.
a Cinsault?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's one of my favorites.
It's really hard to find
I know.
the fruit, but McKinley Springs does a really good job of theirs. So we
The vineyard manager that manages, Sagemore Vineyards.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
I mentioned Cinsault to him, and he thought that was a good idea, but he said that he didn't know if that would grab on or not. But
Mhm.
Cinsault from Washington is killer.
And I think it's growing. I think the
it is.
people
yeah.
are learning about it, and
Cool.
Mary
Yeah.
Hill's, they do a great one.
Yeah, I've tasted their
Seth Kiske
Cinsault.
does a really
Yeah.
good Cinsault.
She
yeah,
sent me
it's
a,
cool.
she's been to one of my events up in Friday Harbor.
Right on.
I think they've been twice.
Cool.
So she sent me a bottle of Herson So. Awesome, guys.
That's great.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
yeah, thanks for having us.
Is there anything you want to tell them on a last note?
I'll let Cassie finish.
Yeah, I don't know. What?
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for taking
Thank
the time.
you for
yeah.
thanks for the support, and
Yeah.
we hope everyone gives us a try and enjoys the wine.
Yeah, please
So,
try their wines.
Cheers.
And if you're in Richland, come check out our tasting room.
Yeah,
We have a good time.
yeah, absolutely. I'm going there soon after I get back from Italy.
And we'll be at your place in July, probably.
Yes,
Okay.
March or July.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Right on.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Very fun. Thanks. Yeah.
You keep watching, and I'll keep helping you spend your wine dollars wisely. All right.